opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers. And there are more than just our faces on the screen right now. And that is because by popular demand, and I really do mean that, the next installment of our collaborative mock draft series involves one of everyone's favorite podcasts. The Tailgate boys are here. It is Austin Gayle. It is Mike Renner. And we are going back to the 2v2 format. Austin, Mike, thank you guys so much for joining us, man. This is going to be a ton of fun. I'm super excited for it. The people have been clamoring for it, and I'm ready to get it going.
I haven't heard any AG's draft takes, so I'm excited to see what he thinks about some of these guys here.
The crazy thing about them is they're all bad. So it's going to be a treat to kind of work through this mock draft with you, and I'll be playing devil's advocate on a lot of that stuff.
So everybody,
it makes you wonder. Is the war room going to get ugly over there? Like, is there gonna
that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, you'd love to see it. You love to see it.
Connor, honestly, we've been doing these collab mock draft series, and half the fun for me, more than half the fun, honestly, the whole fun is just us sitting there listening to
100%.
Other people actually
do the podcast
debate
for us. Yeah, yeah, we scheme the entire system.
Yeah, working smarter, not higher. Oh,
yeah,
not
right.
harder. Everybody obviously knows Mike Renner from his phenomenal work over at PFF as the lead draft analyst. He's doing all the draft guide stuff. And if you're listening to this podcast, of course, you follow Mike's fantastic work. And, there's a good chance that you also know who Austin Gayle is, because Austin used to work for PFF, until he had to go and get a cool job with the Ringer, go over to the cool kids table, had to leave us. But it's all good. I'm very excited about this pairing coming back together, because Tailgate was one of my favorite draft podcasts, and I know it was everybody else's as well, from the amount of people that requested this collab mock draft series. So, fellas, just going to present to you the rules. Not that this is your first mock draft, but Connor and I will team up. You guys are going to team up. Connor, I feel like we should give them the odds. I feel like we should allow them to kick it off. And also,
I agree.
Austin's a Raiders fan. They pick at 7. Mike's a Packers fan. They pick at 15. So I feel like we get a little bit of insight there. Do you agree with that?
I do. I've known Austin for a long time. I had no idea he has any affiliation towards the Raiders. Like, my mind is just blown instantly before the podcast. I don't know how I didn't. You keep that in your back pocket very well, Austin. So congrats.
I have to keep it in my back pocket.
Yeah,
They've
fair.
been awful for as long as I've been a fan.
Strategy.
I had season tickets with my dad for 10 years, and we got the season tickets the year after they went to the Super Bowl. So every year after that Super Bowl, which they've been awful, I've been a diehard, and it's been a tough few years. It's been a tough.
This is
decades.
perfect then. This is perfect for absolutely. I agree, Trevor. It's a great strategy.
It was amazing. We went to the Bengals Raiders game, me and AG, when there was the playoff game, and he transformed. He hides the Raider fandom, and then once the game was there, he turned into that guy who was screaming at the opposing fans, being like, "You're pussies," that sort of stuff.
These Cincinnati fans. These Cincinnati fans are so bad at trash talk. I found that out at that playoff game. Guys are yelling at me saying the Bay Area has a higher cost of living. And I'm like, do you realize a Mercedes costs more than a Honda for good reason? Okay, it costs more to live in the Bay because Cincinnati is fucking dogs. I'm screaming at these guys over cost of living as the Raiders get blown out by Joe Burrow. It was a treat.
Yeah, in order to be good at trash talking, you have to trash talk at all times. Whether you're winning, whether it's tied, whether you're losing, you've got to be able to dish it out. And that's why, Austin, it makes sense that you would be a fantastic trash talker, because I feel like in all situations, you've got something to say. All right, real quick, before we start the mock draft, I need to hear it, because, Mike, you still have a Tailgate banner behind you. Austin, you're still wearing a Tailgate hat. Number one thing that you miss most about the Tailgate podcast? It could literally be anything. A segment, some takes, just draft season all together. Austin, I'm going to start with you. What do you miss most about the Tailgate podcast?
Being in the same room with Mike Renner, man, because with this gig, I moved to LA. Mike and I used to live in the same house, go to the same office, pod on the same pod. It was fucking awesome. I took it for granted. It was a lot of fun to just get together. And I think what people like most about the pod, and I remember I did over 100 fan interviews where I sat down with people on a Zoom who listened to the show, over 100 for 5 minutes long, and asked them what they liked about it. They said, just you guys chopping it up. And I think that's what I miss most too.
Yeah, you stole my answer. I just miss AG, man. The energy, it's different than what you just get appearing on other people's podcasts, fortunately.
Well, you know what? That's what we're here to do. We're here to bring the magic back. We're here to bring the duo back and listen to them banter about draft once again. Just so you guys know, full transparency, as Connor and I love to do on this podcast, my dog's currently getting a haircut. And at some point in this podcast, I'm going to walk away. And the people on YouTube will be able to know but I'm curious if the people who are only listening on audio will be able to tell. Maybe we'll be professionals about it. Maybe I'll F it up. We'll see. You guys just have to listen and see when that gets into it. But let's kick it off here. Number 1 overall, Carolina Panthers on the clock, and the Tailgate boys are going to kick us off here, picking for the odds. So y'all, we can do trades on this podcast, in this mock draft. You can do whatever you want. And remember, it's a what we would do mock draft. So talk it out. Who you guys taking number 1?
I don't know if we can do trades because I don't have a PFF subscription, so I can't do trades.
Right.
Makes sense. It's a little tough.
At number 1, though, let's go Bryce Young. AG, what do you like? It's got to be Bryce Young, right?
So I'm for Bryce Young. I love Bryce Young. I think that all of the conversation around why you wouldn't pick Bryce Young or why people are lower on Bryce Young than it is Stroud, than it is Anthony Richardson, is the height stuff. And it's specifically the weight stuff, too. He will be the smallest height and weight quarterback drafted this high ever, like smaller than Kyler Murray, and we all know that. And I think the concerns there, you bring up, you talk to Nick Saban, or Nick Saban has said quotes like, he never got hurt at Bama. He was literally hurt last year. Like, he hurt his shoulder in a couple of games. Like, he's got hurt. He's going to take hits. He's going to get hurt. I think that's the worry. But he's the best football player of the Big Four. I would, if I was in this room, bang the table hard for Anthony Richardson. I like Anthony Richardson a lot, and I like the upshot of him. But it's hard to pass on Bryce Young. I think he is the best football player. And for a Panthers team that Scott Fitterer told the head coach and the GM, I want the best of the best. Not Scott Fitterer, David Tepper. I want the best of the best. I think Bryce Young is the best of the best in this class. I think it makes sense to take him at 1.
All right.
Yeah,
so you guys are going Young at 1.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Lock it in.
So who we taking at number 2, Connor? Now that Bryce is off the board. Last week that wasn't the case because Benjamin Solak took Anthony Richardson number 1. So I don't know what's going on over at the Ringer. I don't know if you guys are just like having a powwow with something in the water, whatever. But he took Anthony Richardson 1.
Yeah, there's a little trend brewing here. Mm-hmm. Is the Ringer carrying the torch for Anthony Richardson to go number 1 overall?
Maybe.
I don't think the Ringer's carrying the torch. I think with
Seems
Ben
like the Ringer's
Solak,
carrying the torch.
I was talking to Solak, and he was saying he just finished charting all of Anthony Richardson, which he charts all the quarterbacks that are draft eligible or like I think expected to go in the top 100 for the Ringer NFL Draft Guide. And he's like, after charting him, he should go number 1. Like, there's enough there. And he tells me the raw factor of Anthony Richardson has been overblown. And I always think it's like overblown by who? Like draftguru.org or like, like there's not that many people. Like, there's not that many people who talk about this like at a professional level at the highest end that are saying like Anthony Richardson's just like raw ball clay. I do think that Anthony Richardson's a better passer than people are giving him credit for. Yes, he's inaccurate, but not more inaccurate or grossly more inaccurate than what Will Levis is as a project. I think Anthony Richardson, there is enough there. There's enough there to say, hey, we're going to take him number 1 overall. There's no perfect quarterback prospect in this class. I'm willing to swing that bat, and the upshot of what he could be with the rushing ability, all that stuff, the size, most athletic quarterback ever. I think it makes sense. Ruiz likes that as well. Stephen Ruiz at the Ringer. The other piece of it too, though, and I want your guys' feedback on this before we move off the number 1 overall pick. Are you guys hearing the same buzz about CJ Stroud? Do you think it's a lock that it's going to be CJ Stroud? Why do you think the Panthers are all in love with CJ Stroud, or why are the betting odds like minus 370 in favor of Stroud going 1?
Didn't the numbers move a little bit recently?
Very recently.
Like,
I think a couple bigger
Bryce
names
to get a lot closer, right?
Yeah, I think a couple bigger names in the media have started to bring Bryce back up again as a number 1 overall selection.
Yeah.
I don't think it says there's much of a gap as people think. I really don't. I think it's just, you go back to logic and think about how many people have Bryce Young as the number 1 quarterback. And when logic tells you he's the most talented quarterback in this draft right now, wouldn't some people with the Panthers organization be thinking the same thing? So I think it's really close.
Yeah, Connor and I have talked about this a couple of times here on this podcast. When the Carolina Panthers traded from 9 to 1, it was almost like every other quarterback other than Bryce got hyped. Like, oh, people in the building, kind of like Levis. Oh, look at Richardson's combine. Oh, look at how much Josh McCown gushed over CJ Stroud in a film review, right? Like, everybody just started talking about all those things, and nobody said anything about Bryce Young. And so I was like, okay.
One thing they did say, and I think everyone has brought up this stat, is that Frank Reich has only coached tall guys. Like, he likes tall quarterbacks. I think that was like a big stat that people pushed as well. So exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think so much of this stuff was just like, we were just drumming it up. I don't know. I don't know how much of it is actually sourced.
So I think that's true. Like, you can look at Frank Reich's tenure and probably say like, oh, look, he's only like coached tall quarterbacks. How many short quarterbacks do we have that are like worth a pick?
A lot.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that goes into it too. It's not like he's been picking the quarterbacks that he simply has thought were probably the best. I don't think he's ever been put in a situation where a smaller quarterback like Bryce Young is right in front of him. And I just don't think, I agree. Yeah, sure, he takes tall quarterbacks. Everybody takes tall quarterbacks. There's a reason why the percentile is so low for Bryce Young, because most of them are tall anyway. So anyway, all right. Bryce Young, number 1 overall off the board. Where are we going with number 2, Connor? What do you think? You getting spicy with Richardson, or you still want Stroud?
That's the thing, right? We can go chalk here and take Stroud, which kind of feels like where logic would take you. But I also have no problem hearing an argument for Richardson in this offense that needs playmaking ability in the absolute worst way. So, Trevor, if we want to go a little different here, I'm very open to it, because this is it's not a prediction mock. This is what we would do, and we could have fun with it.
I'd love to go Richardson here.
Let's do it.
I'd love to go Richardson to see what a mock would then be like with CJ Stroud as the quarterback left on the board. And of course, like if you're the Texans, you're a team that's, I mean, let's face it, you're picking near the top of the draft for a reason. You're pretty much at ground zero with a lot of this offense. So go for the massive swing of the bat, and let's take Anthony Richardson at number 2 overall. So y'all are up with Cardinals, and I'm curious, are there any trade talks here? You looking at any different teams? You want to make a pick? Mike, what do you think?
I definitely would want to trade this pick from the Arizona Cardinals, right? Like, there's no reason to stick at 3 in my eyes. So where, though, is the problem? Like, who wants to come up?
Right here. I got it for you. You ready for this?
Okay.
Cook. Let him cook, folks.
I'm hitting up the Colts. I'm saying, hey, you guys need a QB. You're in a rough spot. And guess what? Guess who I have on the phone? I got 30 other teams on the phone ready to trade to the spot. So you guys got to have to make this move. Call my bluff. I can sit and wait out this 10 minutes. Colts, you're going to have to move up 1 spot, shoot me a third rounder to make sure I'm not bluffing, to make sure I don't got 30 other teams on the line ready to move up into this spot. I think ultimately what's going to happen on draft day is the Colts move up 1 spot right when the clock's ticking to make sure no one else jumps ahead. Because what I've heard, and what I think everyone is saying, not even heard, but what I've read, is Titans are sniffing around.
Yeah.
Definitely looking to maybe come up, maybe grab a quarterback. I think other teams could be as well. I would be shocked if the Cardinals are picking here at 3. I think the favorite for me to trade up is the Colts. I would try and make a move and get it done with the Colts. I think the Colts are going to be aggressive. Ballard knows rubber's meeting the road, right? He almost got fired last year. Like, there is not a lot of patience in Indy right now from Irsay. You can see that from his tweets. He's tweeting out when they cut practice squad players. Okay, this guy wants a Super Bowl. He doesn't want to be tweeting about that stuff anymore. He wants a Super Bowl. I think we try and get a deal done with you guys. Are you interested in trading up? I got 30 other teams on the line.
I think so. I mean, again, I think that this is a interesting scenario with Stroud being the one who's on the board, right? Because if Richardson's on the board, maybe it's a little bit different. If Richardson's still there at number 3, the Falcons at 8, the Titans at 11, like those are 2 teams that I could really see. Maybe even the Lions at 6, the Seahawks at 5. Like those are the teams that could look at Richardson and say, wow, potential's off the charts. He could be one of the best quarterbacks that we've ever seen. Whereas if Stroud's the one who's on the board, I actually feel like that makes it more plausible for the Colts to maybe move up a spot, and more plausible also for the Raiders, who I think then get back into the conversation. Whereas I think they've cooled a little bit on trading up. But if Stroud's still available at 3, I think all of a sudden they get back involved, and that might be a player here. So if it's Stroud, I do like the Colts as a team to trade up for him. What do you think, Connor? Think a third gets it done?
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm pitching it to you right now.
Yeah, what are you asking?
I want 79. Pick 79 to move up 1 spot. Make sure you get your guy.
That was the Wentz acquisition pick.
We get that pick back. Yeah. We want that pick back.
Give me 79 and a 4th next year.
You want a 4th from us next year?
Correct. No. I'm saying the Colts, or sorry, we would give up. I guess I was just negotiating for the Cardinals. I'm thinking that the Cardinals are probably also going to get a 4th round pick thrown in there. So I actually did that the wrong way. Sorry.
Yeah, don't give them more, Trevor. Let's just give 79 and get out of Dodge.
That's a selected last week. I was I wasn't going to give Solak a lot, and then he was like, no, or I wasn't going to ask a ton from him, and then he was like, all right, fine, take a 1st next year, and I was like, what? Okay, sure, great.
So the pick swap at 79.
Yep.
All right, yeah, let's do it. So that means we're on the clock still, because the team that does the trade is on the clock. So,
and obviously it's for CJ Stroud. No secret there. Yeah. And you feel good about that if you're the Colts, that you didn't give up a significant asset and you walk out of the draft with Stroud.
Yep. All right, 3 quarterbacks off the board. Bryce? Anthony Richardson and then CJ Stroud, which
and
now
Arizona,
Cardinals,
great for them. They get the first non-quarterback of the draft still.
Yeah. You guys got back-to-back now. You're still controlling the Cardinals, and then you control the Seahawks at 5.
Mike, where are you leaning here? Go ahead.
So I think Jalen Carter and his whole pre-draft process is enough for me to flip and go Will Anderson in this scenario. If I'm the Arizona Cardinals, I don't need, with Steve Keim and his, after the and Michael Bidwell and the whole, like, everything that's going on around the franchise right now, you are not in a position to be drafting, in my opinion, a guy like Jalen Carter, even if you have a higher eval on him. So I think Will Anderson.
I'm for Will Anderson. I went back and watched Will Anderson, and I think something that I am pretty confident in is I think he's going to get a lot better in the NFL. I think there's room for him to get a lot better in terms of more pass rushing opportunities, better secondary. I don't think what's been discussed enough about some of these key players coming out of Alabama, that this is one of the worst Bama rosters we've seen in a while. Like, there's not a single receiver for this Bama team going to the draft. Everyone's talking about Bryce Young, right? Like, with the defense, a secondary, I know they have Brian Branch. Yeah, they had some good, good quarterbacks. None of these like big top guys like we've had in the past with Patrick Surtain. I think Will Anderson's going to be a better player in the pros, and I'm excited to see what that is. Let's take Will here.
All right. So you guys are going Anderson for the Arizona Cardinals, and then Seahawks at 5.
I think Jalen Carter's too good to pass up then at that point. Like, the Tyree Wilson versus Carter debate, I think Carter's significantly better in my eyes.
I like Jalen Carter here. It's what I would do, just to add to the fodder. Is there any consideration with all the selfies the Seattle Seahawks front office have been taking with these quarterbacks to think quarterback here? If Levis is on the board, or say Anthony Richardson gets to this point, they have this Geno Smith contract in a place where they could get out of it in a year. Where's your guys' head there? Do you think Seattle makes a decision like that and takes a quarterback to sit behind Geno for a year plus?
Mike, what do you think?
I think Geno's already a top 3 QB in the NFC, right? I mean, maybe you could swing a little hotter and higher and go for a guy like Levis would be that, to maybe get you to a rookie deal with him when it's year 2, year 3 of Geno, where it escalates to like $30 million cap hits. And you're hoping that at that point you can make that transition and you have a complete roster around him to compete for a title. But I think you're close enough with Geno that, like, you can win if you hit on, say, Jalen Carter here. He turns into a dude right off the rip. All of a sudden, your defense, you can turn it around in 2 drafts, and you're like favorites in the West at that point. So I think you're close enough that I would not probably swing at QB.
All right,
let's go Carter.
All right, so we're going Carter. We're going Carter here at 5. Will Anderson and then Jalen Carter. Boom, boom, back to back. Connor, that puts us up with the Detroit Lions, often in a spot that we think about Carter. Carter now off the board, maybe quarterback, but corner feels like the strong one. Do you agree?
I do. This is what we're doing. And for me, for the Lions, I know they signed a couple corners in free agency. We've talked about how they're not hamstrung by the Mosley deal at all. It's kind of a bounce back flyer deal.
Right.
I still take Devin Witherspoon in this spot if I'm them. I think he gives them a little bark on the back end that they've been missing. And I think he gives them a long-term corner that's number 1 corner that's sticky, that can play inside, outside, that could just do everything for you. So for the Lions, that's where I would go in this spot.
I think I agree with you. Man, putting Devon Witherspoon in this cornerback group, all of a sudden the potential, like the upside of all the guys that they have with Sutton, with Mosley, with Jeff Okudah is obviously still there as well. Then you throw Devon Witherspoon in it. Like, if all of those guys, I know it's a giant if all of those guys stay healthy and achieve their ceilings, this is like one of my favorite corner rooms in the league all of a sudden, if this actually hits. So I think that getting Devon Witherspoon in there to be an insurance policy and just, a damn good future starter for them, inside or out. I like this. I don't think there's anybody else that's really tempting me here.
I'm sure some people will wonder about Tyree Wilson, but I just don't have him valued the way I don't do either. The two corners at the top in Gonzalez and Witherspoon.
No, I don't either. You're not taking Branch this high anymore. The only other one that I would debate is Levis, and I probably wouldn't be taking Levis over.
No, Goff's fine in that offense.
All right, Witherspoon at 6. You're up at 7.
What I will say about that Lions pick and even the Seattle pick at 5, I do think that those 2 spots will be trade-up opportunities, because I do imagine if there's going to be a quarterback that gets to this spot, to 7, where the Raiders will, I think, pull the trigger if they like the guy that's there, whether it's Richardson, whether it's Levis. I think Bryce and Stroud are both gone by this point. If there's a quarterback here at 7, I think McDaniels is going to swing that bat. I think Ziegler is going to go get one of these guys because it extends the leash, right? They continue to have excuses to get another season with Mark Davis, the cash-strapped owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, to just say, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't pan out this year, just like the decision we made last year, bringing Devontae Adams didn't pan out. Give us another year. Will Levis will be the guy. And like they just keep kicking this can down the road about being competitive and never getting there. That's why I do think Detroit could be this spot where people are trading back or looking like a Tennessee's looking to come up, or another team that's trying to get in the quarterback market. Maybe Washington looks to come up, or whoever it is, unless they're committed to Sam Howell. At 7, Mike, are you thinking Levis here, or you think you're moving away from it?
I like Levis here. I truly think, what Jimmy G is. He's not like it. He's not taking you to the promised land, especially in that division. So you can build around him all you want. It's not going to matter. So that's why I think you're taking a swing but you're also too good with him to realistically be in next year's class or the year after that if you keep kicking the can with him. So I think this is the time. I think this is where you take it.
Awesome.
This is a dream scenario for Las Vegas. If it's the guy that they like, right? It's Richardson or Levis here. If he gets the 7, they don't have to trade up. It's why they got Jimmy Garoppolo, so they didn't have this pressure to go trade up. If one of these guys falls, they're going to pull the trigger. And I do like it for the value. I think Levis is a good quarterback prospect, guy that you can build around. I have an anecdote on him. I was talking to Chris Rodriguez, his running back there at Kentucky, who'd been there since he transferred. He said on the first practice that he ever met him, he said, "Can you shag balls for me?" And he asked Rodriguez to go down to the goal line. Will Levis got on his knees at the 50 and was trying to hit the post. And he hit it 3 times in a row. Bang, bang, from the 50 off his knees. And he's like, this guy's fucking good.
That's some dude perfect stuff.
Yeah, he's kind of got a dude perfect vibe. I think his floor is dude perfect. He could be on that YouTube channel for sure.
His dude perfect.
What I will say is like, the quote from C-Rod was, "We're going to win some games this year," and obviously they did that first year that he was there at Kentucky. So let's take Will Levis. Let's take Dude Perfect at 7.
Yeah, Will Levis.
A good nickname, man. Jesus, it'll stick for a long time.
Dude, he's a content machine. I think the Dude Perfect comp works. He's eating bananas upside down. He's got mayo. I mean, next thing you know, he's going to be doing some Frisbee shit.
He's jacked as hell. Dude, he's the most jacked quarterback prospect I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's going to be doing the insane trick shots across the whole facility that they have built. I don't know. It feels like somewhere in Texas. I don't know. It's got like a Texas vibe to it. So I feel like that's it. All right. So Mr. Dude Perfect going to the Las Vegas Raiders at number 7. Connor, we're on the board at number 8. I feel like we can go a lot of different directions with this one. Obviously, corner is still a strong one, but I've seen guys like Lucas Van Ness and Tyree Wilson been picked here. Do we think that this is now a spot for Wilson, or where are you leaning with this one?
I'm very comfortable taking Tyree Wilson here, but I love Christian Gonzalez and have no problem making corner an extra strength. So I know you're lower on Tyree Wilson, so that would probably lean us towards Gonzalez if that's the way you want to go. Just looking at my rankings, it's hard to really break it down that different when I have Gonzalez as the 6th best player in this draft and Tyree as the 10th. So
okay,
and they're both needs.
I'm gonna have Gonzalez, I think, a lot higher than I'm gonna have Tyree Wilson.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got. So, and honestly, I think this is very much in play for the Falcons on draft night.
I agree. I would throw Nolan Smith's name in there as in play, certainly to be the selection at number 8. I think that Nolan Smith's range actually starts right here. I think it starts at number 8, and it could go all the way down into the late
it's not what I would do.
Right where the top 20 is, but I think that this is a realistic spot for where things start for him. I think the Falcons would legitimately consider it, given how insanely athletic he tested, given the fact that he's from Georgia. It's a major position in need. So if they don't mind him being a little bit smaller and they think that he's got crazy pass rush potential as a speed rusher, I could see that being on the table. But ultimately, we'll go a little bit chalk with what you and I have done in the past, and I'll say Christian Gonzalez because it is what we would do draft, and that is what we would do. So,
all right, lock it in.
You know whose range starts right here 2 picks earlier is my guy Bijan. I think Atlanta could be sniffing Bijan here at 8. I also think Detroit could get into some Bijan love. I mean, it's such a weird class in that I think Davon Witherspoon at 6. I'd rather have Witherspoon over Bijan at 6. But if the Lions are that team that does trade down for a Tennessee or whoever wants to get ahead of Las Vegas, and the Lions end up drafting outside the top 10, I think they could be a prime Bijan candidate. And I think the Atlanta Falcons, Solak says it best. They don't give a fuck about positional value. Like they're going to get linebackers, they'll get running back. They just want Arthur Smith's just trying to build a bunch of football players. I think that the Bijan could be a top 10 pick. And I think Atlanta's a spot there where he could end up.
Terry Fontenot is operating, the Falcons general manager. He is operating like he's got a lot of security. Like and it's kind of the dream, right? Because he is operating under, I'm going to pick the best football players. Like, and it just doesn't. And if you let me do this long enough, we're going to have a really healthy, damn good roster. But do owners have that kind of patience? I feel like Arthur Blank, if anybody, would have that kind of patience, because he feels like an owner that's like, yeah, I'm going to hire this guy, and we're in here for the long haul. I mean, how long did they hang on for Dan Quinn for a couple of years when he really was underperforming? How long did it feel like they did the same with Thomas Dimitroff? Like, he likes his guys, and so it does feel like he has that leash when a lot of other general managers don't. So I agree with you. Bijan could definitely be in play at the top 10.
I'd hate it. And I love Bijan. But I thought they hit on Algier. They need to start. They need to start getting like foundational pieces at positions that matter so much. And then the Lions, like, as fun as that is, you tell me Bijan goes into a backfield to a team that just paid David Montgomery and has DeAndre Swift, and it's just like, man, he's such a good player that those arguments go out the window. But I hope he goes somewhere where he's just that dude immediately.
All right, y'all are up. Bears at number 9.
This situation. I would like the Bears at number 9 with where their needs are, which is like everywhere. I think they could trade down again, right? Like this seems like there's still all the top tackles on the board. You could get to pick. I don't know who would want to come up is the only problem here. Like there's who would you target? Maybe Tyree Wilson. Yeah, it would be like the one guy maybe, but like I think they're in a prime spot to trade down. If not, Peter Skoronski is who I think. I just think he's the best O-lineman in this draft.
Yeah. Hold on here. I'm going to throw this out there. Yeah. Connor.
Yeah.
Jets are about to get Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
We don't think number 13 is going to be involved. We believe that at number 13, they're going to go all in on offensive line. They probably don't believe that Paris Johnson or even the second offensive tackle is going to make it to him at 13. You might have an opportunity here where you can move up a couple of spots and take any one that you want in an all-in window after trading for Aaron Rodgers. What do you think?
Well, what does it cost? Like one of 42 or 43 has to go back to Green Bay, assuming this deal gets done this month. Mm-hmm. So then what? You don't have a third rounder.
What do they got?
What's the deal? Because in the Elijah Moore trade, they flipped up from their third rounder to Green Bay's to Cleveland's second rounder. So
you're probably looking at giving, because here's the thing, you got to remember this too. The Bears have a crap ton of picks this year already. So you're thinking
next year.
So you could say you got 2 first rounders next year. We'll give you a second rounder next year to move up from 13 to 9.
I think I stay
firm. Which you're assuming is going to be low.
Okay.
I think I only stay firm, Trevor, because for the Jets, if they get one of Skoronski, Paris, or Broderick, like you just wipe your hands and you're like, okay.
All right.
If they had extra draft capital, I would say so. I was actually intrigued here, Trevor. What about the Texans coming up from 12 to get Tyree Wilson? Like, this team needs dudes on defense in that front. They got draft capital. He's not making it to 12. He's just not.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it to 12.
I know you're lower on him, but like that's the other one. Unless you want to go real deeper than that, and we have somebody like the Steelers need a tackle. Do they come all the way up? Something along the lines of that.
No, because I don't think the Bears would trade that far down.
This is a difficult pick. Renner kind of pointed that out. It's not the easiest pick to get out of.
I don't hate. Look, I'm lower on Tyree Wilson, but just like the reality of it. I mean, see now
for Houston right now, what if you give us next year's second and next year's fourth? So we're not loading up on picks in this class, and you move up 3 spots.
Next year's second and
that
next
feels
year's
heavy,
fourth.
Unless I'm off. Let me see. What's the difference on?
I'll give you next year's third.
Right, that's what I was just gonna say.
And they got. Oh, damn.
It wouldn't be a 2 for me.
No, I'll give you next year's third to move from 9
a fourth
to 12.
I would go third and
a fourth.
Third and fourth?
If I push it over, I'd go third and fourth.
All right, it's fine.
All right,
lock it in.
Lock it in.
Cool.
Locking it in. All right, Connor, you've got Tyree Wilson at as your 10th player on the board. So I feel like this is a good spot for you then. Them getting him at 9.
Yeah, and the Texans get a freak on the front 7 of their defense, and D'Amico.
He's the best kid alive.
I believe in D'Amico to develop him. That's kind of the feel good about this move.
Have you guys gone back and watched Tyree Wilson's Texas A&M tape? It is insane how he just doesn't know what he's doing. He's just
I don't think he does. He almost. It's gotten better, but you're right. Yeah,
it's gotten better, but it's I think the tape that we saw this past year, you're still oh my god, he's just big and he's moving big and moving fast,
running through
his
people.
Texas A&M tape. It's is that just a big high school kid out there, just lost in the sauce? It is. Obviously he's gotten a lot better. That's not a lot. Oh wow, 4 years ago he wasn't as refined as he is now. But it legitimately, all of the stuff that people I think are hinting at now, super magnified 4 years ago, where he could barely get on the field, and when he was on the field, he was getting randomly hit by pancake fly. It was rough. He's gotten a lot better since then. All right, Mike, where are we heading at? 10, no. Philadelphia Eagles. Oh no,
we're at 10.
Yeah,
we're
right.
Then we got 3 straight.
Okay. All right, Eagles at 10. We got every offensive lineman on the board.
I know who I want to take.
Who do you want to take?
I want to take Kalijah Cansey.
Brother.
Wow.
At 10? We can't do it.
That's early.
We can do whatever we want. We're making the picks.
I know, but I'm saying for me, I'm giving the pushback.
Okay, good. As long as you're giving the pushback. I mean, the question is where else are you going to go here that really gets you excited? They brought back their corners. I mean, sure, we could take Skoronski. It'd be awesome.
Because I'm thinking we could take Paris. Paris still there. Paris can play.
That's true.
Paris can play right guard for you because he's played right guard before. You let Cam Jurgens still be the swing interior offensive lineman, and then when Lane Johnson probably retires next year, boom, Jurgens goes to center, Paris Johnson goes to right tackle. That's where I'm going.
You could talk me into it. I think he's worth it.
All right. Well, did I talk you into it? I mean,
you don't really have to do that much. I have him as the 11th best player in the draft, and you have a plan in place for him. So.
Yes, that would be my plan. And then you can draft an interior offensive lineman sometime next year, or you could sign a free agent. Too. Right?
Yeah, they find a way. They develop interior offensive line and D line just really, really well.
I mean, Lane Johnson played through a torn abdominal muscle.
He tears everything.
Can we get the guy a break? He's the Undertaker at WrestleMania out here. He's just doing it to extend the streak.
One last match,
buddy. Go spend time with your family.
They wheel him out.
Oh, all right, so let's go Paris Johnson. Let's go.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Then the boys got back-to-back.
Yep.
Back-to-back.
Back-to-back. Triple threat from the tailgate, folks.
So what are you thinking here, Mike? I think we're going Scoro here to start, right?
I just think the value's too good. You obviously have needs along your offensive line. They tried to rebuild it.
And I think that Mike Vrabel has a 10-finger death grip around this draft. He's getting what he wants when he wants. He runs his team. I think he's going to go in the trenches. They just did that extension for Jeffrey Simmons. He's taking this thing down. If you think they're taking receiver here, you are high. He wants O-line. He wants D-line. I think he could go Lucas Van Ness. He's going lunch pail types only. I think that Scoro's the move.
The only wide receiver he would take at 11 is Cedric Tillman.
Exactly.
That's the only, or Michael Wilson, just because he blocks.
The two guys that can block.
I was also great. I was wondering how long we were getting this draft before we got a shorthand of a name from Austin Gayle, and we got Scoro here. I was thinking we might get Pisco, but I'm gonna need more of those before the draft is over. So we'll go Scoro for the Titans at 11. You guys are still up with the Bears at number 12.
Bears can really people pencil them into O-line because obviously kind of think that's where the strength is kind of at that point in the draft, but they can go anywhere really. They suck, right? They were the number one team for a reason. They have needs everywhere, and especially along defensive line. So to me, top D lineman on the board right now, Kalijah Cansey, Lucas Van Ness on my board. I'd be cool with either of them. Truthfully, Kalijah Cansey as a 3-tech in that defense that has a defined 3-tech role, that's one of the few if you're going to draft one. Now you need pieces around him, obviously, but That would be intriguing to me.
For me, it's Kalijah can't see the field because he doesn't weigh enough and he doesn't have long enough arms.
Oh yeah, you're the arm length police.
I'd rather go if I'm
arm
going
length
D-line
thresholds
here,
on the pod.
I like Nolan Smith here as well. I have Nolan Smith a lot higher than where I have Kancey. I would maybe think Nolan Smith. Who is small, absolutely small, but I don't know. I'd rather go Smith than Kancey. If we could split the difference and go LVN.
Okay, let's go LVN.
All right. Lucas Van Ness to the Chicago Bears at number 12. So they move from number 1 to number 12, get Lucas Van Ness, but also
big Blackhawks fan. He'd love it.
Ton of picks. Oh, is he a big Blackhawks fan?
Massive Blackhawks fan.
Yes, that makes
something I will say too is that situation, if they do trade down to 12 and Jackson Smith-Njigba is still there to pair up with Justin Fields, it makes me hate the Chase Claypool trade that much more. Like the fact that your wide receiver room is Darnell Mooney, DJ Moore, Chase Claypool, all guys that you want to see the field given the investment that you've made. And like obviously DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney are relatively good. I don't think Chase Claypool has it. It just sucks that they traded that second rounder for Chase Claypool. Because if they were in that spot to go get JSN, think about the diversity of that wide receiver room. DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Jackson Smith-Njigba, that's a complimentary room. I don't know, man. This Chase Claypool trade, I hate it more and more. And that's another situation that I think just like puts an exclamation point on that trade not being it. Where are we thinking Jets here?
Well, hold on. I just had to say Lucas Van Ness, Connor, from Barrington, Illinois, which means he's going to Chicago Bears, low moving costs. You know, low moving costs to relocate him to get it right. You know, if you're really trying to be financially responsible, low moving costs. So you guys are still up. Jets at 13. Don't blow it.
Yeah, do not blow this.
Connor, where would you go here, Connor? Just curious. Pick your brain.
Oh, man. I mean, the two fun picks, and I don't think it's where they're going to go, are Jackson Smith-Njigba and Kancey. The chalk is Broderick Jones. So,
bro, Derek,
I love the thought of Kancey on that front.
I mean, dude, they lost Rankins, and then you plug in Kancey.
But apparently, we're not going to be drafting Kalijah Kancey.
Let's do it. We can take Kancey. If you trust,
he gave the deep lean back.
If you trust,
Renner, you have my support. With this guy. Just know that.
Like I think you attack premium positions here. I think that I'd rather go offensive tackle. I think Darnell Wright. I think Broderick. I'd look at O-line. I think that's the lean.
Austin would rather draft Broderick Jones and play him both ways and just have him play 3 tech.
Yes, absolutely.
Broderick Jones, you are 3 tech for Robert Saleh.
What do you want to do, Mike? You can take Kancey. I'll give you the reins.
I would like to go Kalijah Kancey. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
That's fun. It's good to breathe new life into this Jets pick at 13.
That's good family fun there. Cotton. Okay, New England Patriots at 14. They have Broderick Jones on the board.
They do.
Also, every wide receiver on the board.
So how do they handle their tackle situation, right? They have Trent Brown. They paid Riley. They gave Riley Reef a contract.
Not a lot.
What was it? I don't think it was like we could just tell you to fuck off money.
All right, I'm going to look. 1 year, $5 million deal.
Oh, okay. So he could be a swing tackle at that price.
I'd fuck off for $5 million. You know, he's just
absolutely
F off.
So I think Broderick makes sense here. I think for the kind of tackle they like, Darnell Wright makes sense here.
Yeah,
I think Broderick's the better prospect for whatever it's worth. I know Darnell Wright's on like a rocket ship hype train right now. I do like Broderick better, but it's
I like Wright, dude.
You like him better than Broderick Jones?
I don't know yet.
Oh man. Choose. Where are we going, Trevor?
Dude, this wide receiver room was poop.
Yeah, it's terrible. Well, they got Juju.
If they didn't sign Juju, I'd be like, nah, Jack Smith and Jay make it happen. I also think this is a sneaky Zay Flowers spot.
Yeah, which I do not like that over JSN at all. But
maybe they could pick a good tight end and get Dalton Kincaid, right? And then they'd have an actual good tight end on the roster.
I would take if this is truly our pick, I would take JSN.
I mean, it is our pick. It's our podcast.
But we've leaned into a couple like, okay, we're not allowed to do that scenarios.
All right, well, screw it. Let's go fully against the grain. Would you take JSN? Okay.
Yep, taking JSN.
All right. Picking Jackson.
Boy, we long walked around that one.
Damn it. That was my pick for the Packers.
Oh, get
See,
absolutely wrecked.
Get wrecked.
Hate to see it.
All right, so Jackson Smith-Njigba would have been your pick there, huh?
Would have been. I like Kincaid though. What are your thoughts, AG, on Dalton Kincaid?
Yeah, I was gonna say Kincaid. I think Kincaid makes sense at 15.
I
would have loved JSN though.
Yeah, I would have too. Kincaid's really.
I don't think the Pats take JSN ultimately, and if he is there at 15, that would be a dream. That's why I think the Pats could be a trade down spot. I keep saying that, but if someone wants to go get JSN, that isn't the Pats, and get ahead of Green Bay, who I think is leaning pass catcher. I think that 14 could be something where New England's trading back.
All right, Kincaid at 15. Mike, who do you think they're going to take?
Miles Murphy.
Okay. All right.
Clemson.
Okay, I can see it.
All right.
Yeah.
Miles Murphy or Nolan Smith is if I had to bet right now.
Ooh, Nolan Smith.
But
AJ Dillon again.
What'd you say?
I said AJ Dillon a second time just to see how it feels.
Oh my God.
AJ Dillon's second thigh.
That second time.
No, I'm saying his second thigh because his thighs are the size of redwood trees. You got to spend 2 draft picks on him. You got to go one leg 1 year, one leg the other. Okay. Washington Commanders, 16.
Yeah, this is one of our better Commanders scenarios, right? They got the corners on the board. And with that being said, Trevor, like I'm not entirely ruling out offensive line in this spot either.
Is Broderick still here? He is still here.
Broderick's there. Darnell Wright's there. Joey Porter Jr.'s there. What do we think?
I would go either Broderick, because I actually like the situation where Charles Leno is still there.
Yes.
Or Deontay Banks.
Let's go Broderick.
Okay. All right.
Load up on the offensive line.
Yeah, actually, again, I like that scenario. Not a situation where Broderick has to start right away. You still got Charles Leno on the team. You got Andrew Wiley playing right tackle. Some people will be like, oh, he's not good. But they paid a lot of money for him to start at right tackle. So, I mean, that's kind of beyond the point there. There's only so much you can do. 16, we're going Broderick Jones. I don't think we've had Broderick Jones at 16 in a mock draft.
No, usually doesn't make it there.
Yeah, normally doesn't. So it's fun. It's a good scenario. Pittsburgh Steelers is 17, fellas.
Sprint the card in for Darnell. Sprint the card in for Darnell Wright. I mean, that O-line is puke in a bucket. I think that you have to call Joey Porter's dad and be like, hey, it's
sorry.
Just, we got bigger needs. We love him. But I think Darnell Wright, for the value, for the spot, for the need, I think this is the move.
I'm cool with that. I like it.
Anybody else that you would have thought of, or just the O-line needs that much upgrading?
I think you have to consider Joey Porter Jr. For the team ties. I don't know. I still think Nolan Smith will be off the board by now, and I'm always considering him at every pick at this point.
Lions.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say. Never mind. I had nothing good to say. Just go.
Now you're making me feel bad, Mike, because you were gonna say something and I cut you off, and then you didn't say it.
No, I can't even actually remember now. It was so inconsequential.
All right. Well.
That sounds awesome.
Riveting podcasting. Devon Witherspoon went number 6 overall to the Detroit Lions. Now they are up again at number 18. Connor, where are we going?
Kind of like Nolan Smith here. I think that
I don't mind it, but does it neutralize James Houston?
I don't think so. I think Nolan Smith does so many good things off the ball, and I'm not going to just bet the house. Like, these teams rotate their rushers like crazy, and the Lions use Houston in a very rotational role.
It's fair.
I mean, the problem is, like, say we get away from the edge conversation, what is our move here? We already got them a corner. I guess you could argue in a sense for Branch here. Lions fans despise when we take a tight end in this spot.
The only
Quentin Johnson.
That is the one. That's the one.
It's early for me, but I get it.
I've gone back to that a lot because if you draft Quentin Johnson onto this team, it's Jameson Williams, it's Quentin Johnson, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, the team was one of the top scoring units in the NFL last year. They continue to be so if that's their wide receiver trio. So I am for Quentin Johnston. I'm also for Nolan Smith. Would I bang the table for either of them?
I don't really love how this fell for the Lions in this spot, but
I think Nolan Smith's going to be higher on my board.
That's what it came down to for me. And there's a pretty respectable gap, I think. I'd have to double check.
Yeah, there probably will be.
Yeah. So yeah, I have Quentin Johnson at 31, Nolan Smith at 24. So I'd go Nolan.
All right, we'll go Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith at 18, the Detroit Lions. Puts the Buccaneers up at number 19. Don't blow it.
Ooh, this team sucks. The roster's old.
Hey.
I think that you just have to take your best player available. Their left tackle is named Brandon Walton. I don't know who that is. I think that Tampa Bay needs to just swing for someone they think can be great, even if it takes 2 years' time, because I think this team is far, far away from competing.
Who do you like then in that? Who's like top of your board here? Would be.
I mean, I don't even like for the value. I love this cornerback class. I'm thinking Deontay Banks. I'm thinking Joey Porter Jr. I think you could go receiver. This receiver room's old. I mean, I think that receiver corner is where the value is right now. Probably too early for Brian Branch, even though I love him. And when you got better outside cornerback prospects available, I don't know. Where are you leaning?
I am higher on Quentin Johnson. Like, I think this is a scenario where, again, like you said, you can just kind of take a swing, and a guy like Quentin Johnson's the swing, right? Like, that's trying to shoot for a little high end.
Hear me out. Or is the swing Zay? Zay with the speed, and I don't know. Quentin Johnson's great, but I think I've been talking myself into both him and Zay are high-low swings in terms of, obviously Quentin Johnson weaknesses and having that high contested target rate and still learning to get open, whereas Zay can get open, but he's small and he's got short arms, as you guys know. I tweeted about it. But yeah, of course. You could go. I think
you kind of already have a slot. Like Godwin's your slot.
Yeah. So I'm fine going Quentin or taking a swing on one of these corners too. Deontay Banks or Joey Porter.
Let's go Quentin Johnson. All right, do it. All right.
Trevor, thoughts?
I love this corner class, but Tampa's in a situation where they just paid Carlton Davis. They just paid Jamel Dean, and neither of those guys can play inside. Like they're not like slot type of corners. So Deontay Banks and Joey Porter Jr., I love them as prospects, but I think you're trying to square peg round hole one of those three corners into getting them on the field. And I like the Quentin Johnson pick better because I think you'll get better return on investment. Mike Evans, Quentin Johnson, Chris Godwin on the same field. I mean, that would be pretty damn sick. I think about Anton Harrison here too.
They could win 4 games.
Hey, look, you know what? Whatever gets him Caleb Williams. That's all I care about.
There you go. Smart man.
You guys should have picked the 382nd player on Mike's big board here at number 19, as far as I know. Whatever gets them closer to future.
Kalijah can't see.
Jeez.
Kalijah can't see the field, apparently. Good God.
Seattle Seahawks at 20. Where are we going?
Kalijah can't wipe his butt with those arms.
Jeez. Okay, there it is. Now Tailgate's back.
Yeah, we got him going in the right direction.
The podcast is officially back. Where are we going at 20, Connor?
I mean, I really like Jordan Addison here. I really do. You just see what happens to that offense when Lockett was out last year. But a couple of good players have kind of fallen to this spot right here.
Who did say? Oh, Jalen Carter. Yeah.
Like they don't need a running back because they got Kenneth Walker. Otherwise, Bijan would be fun. I mean, I really like the tight ends. Like Michael Mayer for me is one of the safest players in this draft. So I wouldn't even have a problem with that, although I know that's not popular. I think for me, this pick would be between Jordan Addison and Michael Mayer.
I don't hate him.
I like Addison a lot better than Zay Flowers, by the way. And I know that's kind of, there's a lot of debate there, but I think Addison would flourish next to DK and Lockett.
I do think this is a great spot for Addison. Like I would like Jordan Addison here with the Seahawks. Kind of thinking about corner.
That's in play. I've heard that for them. Definitely in play.
Like Banks is still on the board and Joey Porter Jr. is still on the board. Like if you got Joey Porter Jr. on one side, Tariq Woolen on the other, I mean, that's just a bitch matchup wise.
Yeah, they got arms down to the ground, both sides. Yeah. I could be talking to Porter for sure.
I kind of want to go Joey Porter Jr.
Okay, let's go Joey Porter Jr.
Okay, we're going Joey Porter Jr. So the Seahawks getting Jalen Carter and Joey Porter Jr. 21. You guys are up with the Los Angeles Chargers.
I think I know where AG's head's at. You want to go Zay, right? Zay Flowers. No?
I think Zay Flowers. I like Zay Flowers in this spot. I think you have to force speed into that room. And I was just listening to Steve Ruiz and Nora Princiati on the Renner NFL show, and they're talking about you restructure Mike Williams' contract, you restructure Keenan Allen's contract, you're pushing money down the road. You're going to be pot committed to those guys for a while, right? Like there was thought that they could be cut candidates. I think The Athletic wrote that Keenan Allen was maybe even a likely cut candidate, and they ultimately don't do it, right? Telesco's keeping those guys in the building. Now your hands are tied behind your back. Yeah, they added I think it was Trent Sherfield to this receiver room to try and get some speed involved. I don't know. I don't think this. I think you got to force speed here. I think Zay Flowers makes sense. I know a lot of people like Jalen Hyatt. I think that's a bit rich. I'd rather have Zay than Jalen Hyatt in this spot. At the same time, J.C. Jackson sucked last year. Injuries. You got Deonte Banks on the board. I know they just took Joey Porter. I'm going receiver or corner again.
Yeah, I think it's close enough at this point. I want to give, Justin Herbert weapons. Yeah, I just think in that offense, that's what they're missing. You're probably not going to find that in the second, third round, I could say.
Let me read this receiver room. I was wrong. It wasn't Trent Sherfield. I think Trent Sherfield went to the Bills.
He did go to the
Bills. Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, Keenan Allen, John Hightower, who does have some speed at Boise State a couple years ago, and Keelan Doss, who doesn't have some speed in his, honestly, cheeks. So, you're in a tough spot there. Like, your starting three receivers are slow. You need to inject some speed. Who you move Zay ahead of Palmer to your wide receiver 4. Palmer can come in and when you need him and when you need someone slower on the football field. Hard to say when that is these days. But I think Zay Flowers makes sense here.
Yeah.
Nobody throws in a casual he's cheeks like Austin Gayle is when he's on a rant. You just never know when it's coming. All right, Zay Flowers going off the board to the Chargers at 21. Baltimore Ravens at 22. Connor, I look at the board. I look at the top player that's left right here. I'm thinking about Baltimore's situation. No question about it. I know you're going to agree. It's Hendon Hooker at 22, right?
I wasn't ready for that. I just want to go back and say, like, imagine like a family member of Keelan Doss fires up Stock Exchange and they just like catches the most lethal stray from Austin Gayle of all time. Like, they're just trying
to enjoy a draft podcast.
Yeah. They're like, oh, Cheeks, great. My cousin just called Cheeks on this podcast for no reason. All right.
By some random loser with a mustache.
Get owned.
My cousin's in the NFL and this guy's calling him Cheeks. What have I come to?
Oh, God.
I'll say this. So as you guys think about this picks, top player available on the PFF board is Deonte Banks. Obviously went to Maryland, also grew up 37 minutes away from Baltimore Stadium.
Yeah, and they're on the corners.
This is the obvious pick for me.
Yeah,
this is the no troll obvious pick. Deonte Banks is fantastic. He's one of the best man coverage corners that's in this draft. I mean, he really doesn't even make it this far most of the time that we're doing mocks now at this point. So I think this is a dream come true for the Baltimore Ravens if he makes it all the way there. Plus, Connor, as Austin mentioned, low moving costs.
Done.
Low moving costs.
That's just right.
Makes too much sense.
It's make too much sense. Deonte Banks, 22 to the Baltimore Ravens. You guys are up 23. Minnesota Vikings.
To me, there's 2 picks here that I would really want.
Okay.
One's Jordan Addison.
Yep.
Because you really need a wide receiver. And the other is Brian Brzee. I think he's just like, you don't have DTs on this roster, right? Like you are thin at that position. So those are the 2 ones that really jump out to me.
Who do I have more faith in becoming a plus starter? I think I lean Brzee. I think that I like Brzee as a prospect more than I like Addison. The weight scares me with Addison. The speed scares me with Addison. I did a look at how many receivers are that light that have been in the NFL. Only a handful have survived, and the only one that's even remotely been like anywhere productive is Devontae Smith. So it's tough to be that small and win in this league, and then factor in that he doesn't have 4.3 speed or even low 4.4 speed. I worry about where Addison can actually play in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be an outside receiver in the league. I think he's going to be a slot. I think Brzee has a chance to be a better player at a higher position of value.
AG, you got to check your database, though. Isaac Bruce was 5'11", 173. Exact same height weight as Jordan Addison. He ran a 4.54 coming out. Ran a 4.5.
That's when the plumber. Isaac Bruce was playing when Plumbers were at corner.
I love this
This league
argument.
has changed.
I love this argument.
This has changed.
You've been at the Ringer watching NBA pods too much, dude.
The LeBron, Larry Bird.
Yeah, you really went there. It wasn't even that long ago. Like we grew up watching.
Isaac Bruce
him.
lighting up.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm like, wait. Isaac Bruce played like when I was like alive. Like, he was drafted in 1994, second round pick.
No, he was nasty.
Honestly, these highlights look a little slow. I mean, he's going against shitty corners, man. I can't do this. I can't do
Bro,
this.
he had
Isaac
like-
Bruce comparison is taking it too far.
All right.
Brian
all right,
Brazier
all right, okay, bro.
I'm watching Isaac Bruce highlights. You guys keep going.
All right, it's fine. Jacksonville Jaguars at number 24.
Chalk pick.
What'd you say?
It's another easy one. We're getting the layups. We're literally on the layup line right now. It's Brian Branch, everybody. You've been here. You heard it. It's done.
Yeah. The last time we didn't have Brian Branch going to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 24, we heard it. You guys tweeted up and commented a storm when we passed up on him. And
usually
they are
we'll tell
right.
them, like, no, you're wrong. But here, absolutely, I'm with you all the way.
Yeah, they were right. They've got a big nickel cornerback need. You put him into this defense, and all of a sudden, it's a really high upside young defense that could be coming around and become one of the best in the NFL in a couple of years. So Brian Branch to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 24. You guys back on the board. Giants 25.
I'd consider Isaac Bruce here if they didn't already bring in
have 25
receivers. This receiver
Bruce's.
room honestly is a sequel to some of the horror movies out there. I mean, Paris Campbell, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jamison Crowder, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, Jeff Smith, Colin Johnson, David Sills, Khalil Pimpleton, Jadon Mickens. They have so many receivers on this team that all are just small, injury prone, only can play in the slot, and they've all like recently committed resources to them.
Wait. But Paris Campbell's wearing number 0. Does that?
Yeah. It's the amount of snaps he's going to play next year. I think that's exciting that he's being like kind of crystal bally with his number change. But like I think this receiver room is bad. But you can't add to it. You literally can't. What are you going to do? You literally just signed all these guys back. Like you brought all these guys back. I don't know. I think that you can't go receiver here as bad as that room is.
I do think Addison's better than like most of those guys, but then his skill set's
obviously
redundant.
no.
So
You don't have to
guys,
convince me.
you know?
Exactly.
But it's just so I don't think it's a needle mover enough to pick him. I would probably go if I'm here. I'd probably go Emmanuel Forbes at this point.
Yeah, The needle. You want to talk about outliers? That guy is tiny, man. I think Lance Zierlein's comparison for him is Cameron Dantzler, who obviously Cameron Dantzler, is he on the team? I think he recently got cut. He was 15 pounds heavier than this dude. So when your player comparison is the needle and you're 15 pounds lighter than him, going to be tough. I think it'll be interesting to see if he can hang out on the outside because he does not have the beef.
Needle's on the Commanders now.
Oh, good for him. All right, let's take him though. I'm down to swing on Emmanuel Forbes.
Okay.
All right, you guys taking Forbes to the Giants?
Yep.
All right. Forbes to the Giants at 25. Apologies to any member of Paris Campbell's family that might be listening to this podcast that also just caught a real strong stray during that little back and forth thing. But
meanwhile, Pro Football Hall of Fame member Isaac Bruce has just been run over like 35 times on this podcast. The man has a gold fucking jacket.
In every 90s corner.
Yeah, at every corner that played before 2010.
Plumbers.
High law, you are cheeks. Like what?
They did have white corners back then, though. So just that is kind of
that's true.
A different era.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cowboys at 26. Connor, I feel like we're getting the softballs here. I feel like this is an easy one, right?
Where are you leaning? I'm curious because I'm kind of torn between a couple here.
Okay, Bijan's on the board.
I know.
All right, who are the other ones that you're considering?
I mean, it's easy to talk me into Bijan. He is so good, and Pollard's on a franchise tag, so it's not like they finally don't have multi-year money tied into running back. So I could do that. I would like Michael Mayer in this spot. I could be talked into multiple edge rushers from Miles Murphy to BJ Ojolari to Will McDonald. And Felix Anadike Uzama. I mean, the only player I will not be talked into here is Mozzie Smith. That's pretty much it. So are we going with Bijan?
Who are the other edge rushers? What would you name off?
Miles Murphy. Will McDonald,
Mm.
Felix Anudike-Uzomah, and BJ Ojulari. I think Ojulari would be my highest rated one, but there's a nice tier of edge rushers available.
And it'd be different. I'd take Bijan. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you. To quote PFF lead draft analyst Mike Renner, there's 3 blue chip prospects in this class. 2 of them are on the defense side of the football. Both of them went in the top 5. The other one is Bijan Robinson, and he's still on the board.
That's the argument. He's so good.
I have a hard time. I get positional value. I get all that stuff. Bijan's unbelievable.
Dude, it's pick 26.
Yeah.
Like it's insane we even have to reach this far to beg people to accept Bijan Robinson.
Yeah. Cowboys fans, we appreciate you still clicking on the mock, even though every single time it feels like we give you
I think what's important too with the positional value conversation, now that I am with the Ringer and I've been blessed a little bit, and I'm not just constantly beat up for bringing up even a running back's name.
Trevor and I got kicked off the PFF channel for liking running backs. People forget.
That's not why.
That's exactly why. Everybody knows it. It's not publicly
Think about
announced.
the swings. Think about the swings you're taking outside the top 10, specifically in this draft class, right? Cansey would have to be an outlier, right, to be great in the NFL. You were talking about at 16 taking Broderick Jones. Good thing he doesn't have to start right away. Like, you're thinking about a project. Like, this draft class, after you get outside the top 10, really outside the top 8, you're talking about guys that, like, yes, they have, there are outcomes, right? There are a range of outcomes where they can be elite players. Bijan has the highest percentage of that, right, of these guys that you're taking from, like, even 8 to 16, 8 to 20. So I think with this specific draft class, like, I find myself more and more comfortable with taking Bijan a lot higher than this, right? When you're taking swings on Emmanuel Forbes, a pick before. Like, I'd rather go Emmanuel Forbes here. He's 166 pounds. It's never happened ever before in the history of the league, but maybe when Isaac Bruce was playing. But, like, this is like a tough – I think this is an easy pick. I would go Bijan here as well. Now, with that being said, Buffalo, I think they have to go Addison here, Mike. I love Addison to Buffalo. The fact that they had to sign Cole Beasley in the middle of last season was legitimately a cry for help. It was a cry for help can someone get open, please? Stephon Diggs can't be the only guy we've got. They need a legit – and if Addison's going to be this Bruce that people think he can be, he can take over this wide receiver 2 spot for Gabe Davis, down the road. But I think right away he starts in the slot. And then you got Davis, Diggs, Addison from the slot. If he's better than that, he can go outside. I don't know how quickly that will be, but they need someone like Addison who can get open. Whereas Davis obviously is this downfield threat. That is this guy that's, a bigger possession type. I really like hitting the offense hard and bringing in Addison right here.
I like Anton Harrison here. I think Spencer Brown is just a liability at right now.
He is. You're 100% right. And they know it.
Yeah. And you like that to me is limiting them far more than wide receiver 3 on this roster. And now I love
they also love Shakir. They love Shakir. They just brought in Deontay Hardy. They just brought in Trent Sherfield. I don't think they're going to go get Trent Sherfield, Deontay Hardy. I don't think they're going to go get receiver. But man, Jordan Addison's better than I think all but Stephon Diggs in that room. I think he could be. I think he could be better than all but Stephon Diggs in that room. I think O-line's fair, but I'd love to see them just go get a nasty receiver that has, I think, a higher percentage of being great.
See, to me though, Harrison's like it for tackles. You're just you're done.
Yeah,
you're not. You pass on Harrison here. You penciled yourself into Spencer Brown for the next 2 years.
As you say that, I'm on 4 minute. I'm running these in the background. Isaac Bruce, 4 minutes and 15 seconds into his highlight. Cornerback wearing number 45 is watching him jog an out route for a score, and he's 6 yards of separation. So Isaac Bruce really putting it on these guys. So you're talking yourself out of Jordan Addison then. No, let's go Anton Harrison. I'm for it.
Okay. All right. Harrison going 27 to the Buffalo Bills. Cincinnati Bengals up at number 28. Connor, I'm curious where your mind goes to initially, I should say, here with this pick, because there is one player who we have not talked about before going to the Bengals that is on the board that I'm kind of intrigued about. So I'm curious if your eyes are even going there or not.
I don't think so. I think for me, it's Michael Mayer in this spot. I just think it's such a seamless insert great tight end into an offense with great wide receiver talents and elite quarterback. Michael Mayer is a first downs machine, and with the timing of Joe Burrow, that would continue. He doesn't need separation to catch the ball. It helps you inline. He obviously brings more inline blocking than Hayden Hurst was going to bring last year, I think. So He's one of the better players in the draft in my eyes, and the Bengals are at 28. It's not the Bijan combo all over again, but it's kind of close to it, where it's like he's really good. You have a need here, just take him.
I don't mind Mayer, certainly for the reasons that you mentioned. It makes a ton of sense. What about Jordan Addison? What about Jordan Addison? Because Tyler Boyd, he's going to be 30 years old next year.
But
he's in the last year. He's in the last year of his contract. They don't have a deal done yet with T. Higgins. T's gonna. I fully believe that T's gonna get done. I don't think T. Higgins is going anywhere. But are you bringing back Boyd after you pay T. Higgins? Probably not. If you have Addison, all of a sudden you got Jamar Chase, you got T. Higgins, you got Jordan Addison playing in the slot. That's pretty sick.
I agree, but let me throw this back to you. The Bengals pick again at 60 and 92. You're telling me they can't get a small wide receiver 3 in that slot in this class?
Yeah, but it's.
I love Jordan Addison. He's my wide receiver 2.
You got him higher than I am, and I'm out here caving for Jordan Addison.
It's a luxury for the Bengals that they can address elsewhere, where you're not getting a Michael Mayer. This tight end class is really good, but I don't see anybody right now that's going to replicate what they get in Mayer.
See, I'm lower on Mayer than you are.
Yeah. You're also way lower on Addison than I am.
And but there's a difference. You have him wide receiver 2. I had him wide receiver 5, but that doesn't mean I'm going to have him way down on my big board. You know what I'm saying? So I still think he's going to be decently high. I still like Jordan Addison, but this is a situation where this guy can be wide receiver 2 caliber talent that you can put in the slot as your wide receiver 3. Like that to me, yeah, it's a luxury, but it's also like a deadly way to make a strength even stronger if you're the Bengals, which you're just going to be pass heavy all the time. I don't hate the Mayer pick. You seem to be a lot more just like bullish on that being the pick as I do for Addison. So I won't hate Michael Mayer here, but if I was making the pick, I'd be taking Jordan Addison.
Okay. I mean, he's up there for me. So if you feel that strongly about, and we've gone with Michael Mayer before, so I think it's good to show a different perspective of it. But I do think they can find a day 2 wide receiver much easier than they can go find Michael Mayer on day 2. But we'll go with Addison here and let the Mayer slide continue, because I also think this is like far for Addison, man. I know he's small. I know he ran like a plumber, according to Austin Gayle, but like, man, he's still too good to be making it outside the top 30.
There's some sort of joke in there with with plumber and runs, but I'm still workshopping it.
We'll get the order down.
Any interest in the phone book here, aka Osiris Torrance with the 11-inch hands as big as a piece of paper? The interior offensive line needs help. I like Osiris Torrance a lot. I feel like the media has soured on him as this like back end of the first round player, and the Bengals need interior O-line. If you don't take him, I'm going to be pounding the table, Mike, at 29 with the Saints.
Well, I already clicked on Jordan Addison, so I can't go back. I can't go back now. Bengals fans, let us know what you think of this pick. Addison being that wide receiver with the setup that we have there over Osiris Torrance, over Michael Mayer, but you guys are up now with the Saints.
They also like DeJuan Jones, too. I know that. Not the Bengals, the fans of the Bengals.
Y'all are up.
Mike, where are you leaning? Osiris, you take one of the edges? Miles
this
Murphy?
One just to me has to be Miles Murphy, right? Like I think you get a freak athlete this late in the first round at a valuable position. Like the Saints have to attack. They can't attack guard, right? Like, they don't have the cap flexibility to be wasting premium picks on guards, linebackers, etc. So I think you go him or Addison or Michael Mayer at this spot, but I think Miles Murphy.
No, I'm with you. I think that's the move. Cameron Jordan's only getting older. I think. I like the decline too. And Marcus Davenport's no longer on this team, right? You're going to go into next year with Tano Pasno and Peyton Turner. I think Miles Murphy's the move.
All right, Miles Murphy, 29 to the Saints. Connor, what do you think at 30? The diabolical pick would be Osiris Torrance here, so that you just have your offensive line lined up for the next 10 years, because you just have everybody young and like waiting in the wings. But I don't know if we're gonna go.
Guys packing a meatball sub down low. You can guarantee that. The phone book, as I call him.
Brother.
Dude. Imagine with DeJuan Jones.
What?
Oh man. I'm leaving the pod.
If you revive Tailgate for 1 hour, You just get the absolute unhinged draft
Probably
pick.
looks like those
Where's
snakes,
that
those,
in
like,
the PFF in the draft
Pringles
guide?
can of snakes.
Double meat barbacoa wrapped, just load. There's just no way. There's no way it's not.
If this isn't in the PFF draft guide on the next iteration.
Meatball sub.
Guy's got a subway down there, a whole subway.
Eagles at 30. What are we thinking, Connor?
I'm gonna say no to Osiris. Osiris. We had Paris Johnson go at 10. Oh man. I'm thinking edge here, Trevor. Get younger at edge. I would, pound the table pretty hard for Ojulari here.
Yeah, I think that's probably the pick. I'm looking at the rest of the guys that would be in range here. Unless you want to get spicy with Adetomiwa Adeboare's versatility.
Sure. I'd rather get the pure speed.
Yeah, I'd rather get Ojulari as well. All right, Ojulari at 30. We're going Ojulari at 30 for the Eagles, which puts you guys on the clock with the Kansas City Chiefs for the final pick of this first round, number 31.
Ooh, man.
Will McDonald?
Oh, he's too light. I just don't think they'd go. Like, realistically, like, that's just not defense. What
about Mozzie?
Yeah, just
kind of like Mozzie.
Mozzie was the one who was intriguing to me. Enudike Uzama is intriguing to me here, and honestly, Adebawore is intriguing to me as well.
Yeah.
You just add athletes to that D line, but I think Mozzie is the one where it's like they don't really have, like, got Derek Nadi, but Mozzie's can actually rush the passer off the nose that maybe a little bit more than anyone they've really ever had there.
I'm for it. I like that.
Let's do Mozzie.
All right, Mozzie Smith. Final selection this draft. All right, I'm gonna rapid fire it off here to recap it for the good people at home who might not be watching on YouTube and just want an audio recap of it. At number 1 overall, the Tailgate guys got us kicked off. They had Bryce Young at number 1 for the Carolina Panthers, Anthony Richardson at number 2 for the Houston Texans, CJ Stroud number 3 to the Indianapolis Colts, trading up 1 spot with the Cardinals, who then took Will Anderson at number 4. Jalen Carter went 5 to the Seahawks, Devon Witherspoon 6 to the Lions, Will Levis 7 to the Raiders, Christian Gonzalez 8 to the Falcons, Tyree Wilson, a little trade up here. Chicago Bears traded down. Texans came up to number 9. They took him there at that spot. Paris Johnson Jr., Eagles at 10. Peter Skoronski. Sorry, what was the next name? Skoro at number 11 for the Titans there. Lucas Van Ness then to the Chicago Bears at 12. Kalijah Cansey, a little bit of fun on this mock draft, going 13 to the New York Jets. Jackson Smith and Jigba to the Patriots at 14. Dalton Kincaid to the Packers at 15. Broderick Jones to the Washington Commanders at 16. Darnell Wright went to the Steelers at 17. Nolan Smith, the Lions at 18. Quentin Johnston to the Bucks at 19. Love that one. Joey Porter Jr., the Seahawks at 20. Zay Flowers to the Chargers at 21. Deontay Banks, Ravens 22. Brian Brzee, Vikings 23. Brian Branch to the Jags 24. Emmanuel Forbes, a.k.a. the Needle, went to the Giants at number 25. Bijan Robinson to the Cowboys at 26. Anton Harrison to the Bills at 27. Jordan Addison to the Bengals at 28, much to Connor's chagrin. Had Miles Murphy to the Saints at 29. B.J. Ojulari to the Eagles at 30. And then Mozzie Smith to the Chiefs at 31. Fellas, this was so much fun. I appreciate it. Was there any player that we didn't get into the first round that you were just that you had been trying to, that you thought about? Any of the guys that were left there?
Osiris,
Mike, you're on mute. Mike, you're on mute.
I really like.
Mike, you're on mute.
God damn, I keep drinking water. Michael Mayer. I can't believe Mike Mayer didn't make it in the first round.
I tried.
Connor tried.
I fought the good fight like 3 times.
He did.
Lost every time.
He tried. Who'd you say, Austin? Anybody?
Osiris.
Oh, of course. Right. Yeah.
The meatball sub.
Yeah. This podcast is sponsored by. No, I'm just kidding. Fellas, I appreciate it. I hope this little reunion was just as much fun for you guys as it was for us. Obviously, we're big Tailgate fans here at NFL Stock Exchange. I know the people who listen to the podcast as well. Miss you guys regularly having your draft takes. So hopefully this was a little bit of a just a sweet little reminder of what can be when you guys team up. So everybody go follow Austin's fantastic work over at the Ringer, ringer.com. Go follow him on Twitter, Austin Gayle. Obviously follow everything that Mike's doing here at PFF with the draft guide, with all the mock drafts, with the shows on the NFL, the PFF NFL show that we've got going daily as well. So fellas, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys for joining us.